You know, when we look at global history, the spread of major religions usually brings to mind, well, the March of Armies, right? But over in the sprawling, absolutely stunning Nusantara archipelago, which covers modern-day Malaysia, Indonesia, and beyond, the story is just completely different. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to unpack the fascinating and honestly super peaceful history of how Islam arrived and really thrived in maritime Southeast Asia.
It really begs the question, doesn't it? How did a region thousands of miles away from the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, transform so completely into this dynamic center of the Islamic faith? I mean, today, we're talking about an area home to hundreds of millions of Muslims. To wrap our heads around this monumental shift, we can't just look at the exact moment Islam showed up. We really have to rewind and examine the incredibly rich, diverse canvas that was there before. We need to understand the people, the geography, and those massive currents of trade that made this whole shebang possible.
So let's trace the ancient origins of the Malay peoples. 40,000 years ago with early human occupation, then the Proto-Malays settling around 1000 BC, the Deutero-Malays arriving in 300 BC, all the way up to the Hindu-Buddhist Srivijaya Empire from the 7th to the 13th centuries. Basically, this was a region defined entirely by movement and synthesis. The early Malays brought advanced farming and metal tools, and eventually, the Srivijaya Empire emerged as this absolute economic juggernaut built on maritime trade. These folks were literally humanity's greatest prehistoric seafarers, which, set the perfect stage for the rest of the world to eventually come knocking on their door.
And come to them, the world absolutely did. The Maritime Silk Road was this massive global trading nexus connecting China, India, and the Middle East, directly through the Malacca Strait. It was the ultimate maritime crossroad. Guided by the seasonal monsoon winds, Arab, Persian, and Indian Muslim traders started arriving on these shores. And what's super remarkable here is that they established these peaceful economic and cultural links way before any major political shifts happened. They weren't just bringing physical goods like spices, silk, and gold. They brought this impeccable business integrity. Their honest commerce and universal transaction laws, which were based on the Sharia, just deeply, deeply impressed the local populations.
Now, check out this quote. The Chinese emperor, realizing the importance of Islam in the Indian Ocean region, appointed Admiral Zheng He as Admiral of the Great Voyage. That is just fascinating. We often kind of assume Islam arrived solely from the Middle East or India, but actually, Ming Dynasty China had a massive influence here. The legendary Chinese Muslim admiral Zheng He led these magnificent treasure fleets through these waters in the 15th century. He actively protected the early Malacca Sultanate from Siamese threats, and he was instrumental in establishing highly diverse Muslim communities. We're talking Chinese, Malays, Arabs, and Indians, right along the coasts of Java and the Malay Peninsula.
So, Dawah, the act of inviting or calling people to embrace Islam, and Tariqa, a school or order of Sufism focused on spiritual mysticism. How did the faith actually take root among the people themselves using these? The faith spread here incredibly peacefully through Dawah, that gentle, exemplary invitation to Islam. Central to this whole movement were the Tariqas, the Sufi mystic orders. These scholars and mystics lived their beliefs out in the open. They focused heavily on inner spirituality, devotion, and compassion, which naturally struck a chord with a local population that was already super accustomed to the deep spiritual traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism.
This whole organic, peaceful synthesis basically unfolded in 4 distinct steps. 1, it started with honest commerce by Muslim traders setting a brand new standard for business. 2, this immense trust naturally led to social integration and intermarriage, often with the local aristocracy. 3, Sufi mystics came in, offering spiritual guidance and setting up community lodges. And finally, step 4, seeing the massive economic, political, and spiritual benefits, local rulers and kings officially adopted the faith. Actually, it was just this beautiful, simultaneous top-down and bottom-up transformation, a real game-changer for the region.
As the Malaysian Journal for Islamic Studies puts it, Sufism's open ethos acted as a uniting factor, weaving the fabric of Islamic beliefs into the region's cultural tapestry. This brilliantly illustrates the impact of prominent Sufi scholars, like Sheikh Nuruddin al-Ranari. They acted as spiritual consultants to monarchs and used Sufism's inclusive nature to just seamlessly weave Islamic principles into existing local traditions. They didn't come in and destroy the local culture, they illuminated it with Islamic values. By integrating local customs with Islamic festivals and rites, they created this profound feeling of continuity and belonging. It made the transition to Islam feel completely natural.
And all of this rich cultural and spiritual synthesis, it completely paved the way for the golden age of the Malacca Sultanate. Founded around 1400 CE by a fleeing prince named Parmeswara, the story actually goes that he married a Muslim princess from Pasai, converted to Islam, and took the new name Sultan Iskander Shah. Under his benevolent rule and, definitely bolstered by the protective alliance of Admiral Zheng He's Chinese fleet, Malacca rapidly transformed from a relatively sleepy little fishing village into an absolute regional superpower.
As a global trade hub, it controlled the Malacca Strait, exported spices, silk, and gold, connected West Africa, Arabia, and southern China, and became the primary center for Islamic studies. So the crucial takeaway here is that Malacca wasn't just this economic juggernaut pushing spices and silk around. Because of its highly strategic location, it became the connective tissue for the entire Islamic world in the East. Sultan Iskandar Shah actively invited scholars from as far away as Mecca, totally transforming Malacca from a simple marketplace into the absolute central hub for advanced Islamic learning in Southeast Asia.
Fast forward to today, and we see the enduring legacy of this peaceful expansion. Get this, 65% of modern Malaysia's population proudly practices Sunni Islam today. That's out of roughly 22.4 million people, specifically following the Shafi'i school of jurisprudence. The powerful seeds planted by those early traders, Admiral Zheng He and the Sufi mystics, they didn't just survive the subsequent colonial eras, they absolutely flourished. They formed the deeply rooted Islamic identity of modern Malaysia that we see right now.
Article 3.1 of the Federal Constitution of Malaysia states, Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. It makes very specific, robust constitutional allowances to firmly cement Islam as the official religion, while concurrently ensuring everyone else can practice their faith in total peace. Because of this unique foundation, Malaysia today stands as a shining, contemporary model of modern Islamic leadership. We're talking a dual legal system that includes dedicated Sharia courts. They are an absolute global pioneer in Islamic finance and banking. They also maintain a world-renowned halal certification system run by JACM, and provide incredible institutional support like Tabung Haji, which is a pilgrim fund board that specifically helps ordinary Malaysians save up for their monumental journey to Mecca. It's really impressive how they've structured this.
Looking ahead, a vibrant Islamic future is unfolding right in front of us. We're seeing a profound revitalization of the faith across the entire Nusantara region, heavily driven by surging youth engagement and dynamic growth. Young Muslims are finding highly innovative ways to navigate our crazy modern digital world, all while staying entirely true to the peaceful, scholarly, and community-focused roots that were established centuries ago. The religion is just continuing to grow dynamically, flawlessly maintaining that historic blend of global connectivity and deep personal spirituality.
What can the world learn from Nusantara's remarkable history of peaceful synthesis, honest trade, and dynamic Islamic growth? To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. In a world that, frankly, so often focuses on conflict and division, just look at the blueprint left behind by Nusantara. It proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that cultural harmony, honest commerce, and peaceful spiritual growth have the power to transform societies permanently. The journey of Islam in Southeast Asia is literally a masterclass in how faith and culture can beautifully elevate one another. Thanks so much for joining me on this, and stay curious.